Hello everyone. The topic for today is multiplicative relationships. Right now I want you to pause the video so you can copy down your notes and then resume when you're ready. Today's lesson is very similar to additive relationships in that we are trying to determine whether or not the relationship between X and Y, or the input and the output, is multiplicative. So that's a yes or no question. So let's take a look at the very first set of numbers. We have 3 and we have 12. We have to figure out how we get from 3 to 12. There are two ways. We could add 9, or we could multiply by 4. To check to see which one of those works, we have to look at the next set of numbers, or any other set of numbers for that matter, in the table. So let's take a look at 5 and 20, just for argument's sake. So if we look at 5 and we add 9, we do not get 20. However, if we do multiply it by 4, we get 20. So the adding 9 option won't work. And if we apply this multiplying by 4 to each of the other numbers in the table, we find out that that is the process. So our equation is y equals 4x. Because we're multiplying 4 by the input, the answer to the question as to whether or not it's multiplicative is yes. Now for the explanation. Because the output is 4 times the input, we can use this y equals ax to write the relationship. So that would be our explanation. So because the output is 4 times the input, we can write the relationship in the y equals ax format. That's the explanation that you would be expected to use if the relationship is multiplicative. For our next example, we have to do very much the same as what we did before. We have to figure out how we would get from the input of 1 to 10 mathematically, and we could add 9, or we could multiply by 10. And we need to use the other numbers in the table to find out which one of those works. Well, if we look at 2 and 9, we find out that if we were to add 9 to 2, we would not get 9, we'd actually get 11. And we would, if we multiplied 2 by 10, we would get 20. Again, not 9. So that means that we have to use some other mathematical operation. Well, as we will discuss, subtraction is one of the operations that we can use in finding equations. So we find out that we are actually taking the input and we are subtracting it from 11. So if we were to have the input of 3 and we are subtracting it from 11, that's how we would get 8. If we have the input 4 and we subtract it from 11, we get 7. So our equation is y equals 11 minus x. As to whether or not this is multiplicative, the answer is no, because we're not multiplying the input by anything. We're actually using subtraction. And for the explanation, we would say because the relation cannot be written in the y equals ax format, the relationship is not multiplicative. So I want you to use the table provided here. I want you to tell me if the relationship is multiplicative, write the equation, and give me an explanation, all to the best of your abilities, bring those answers along with any questions that you may have with you to class tomorrow.